you a countdown.
It gives me a countdown, but I never understand it. I never actually believe that it's going to be working. And then it all of a sudden starts working. And I'm like, oh, it's working. Okay. You ready to get started?
Nothing more than wanting to spend the next half an hour at least with you.
Oh, okay, okay. I don't know if that's a compliment or an insult. But how many people outside of your family, how many people know your middle name?
Many actually, because I have a kind of a peculiar middle name. So if you hear it, you usually don't forget it. It's very unique.
What is it again? Wait, it's Euclid, isn't it?
It is Euclid, yes.
Oh, I don't think I don't think more than 10 people know my middle name. Even including family. I don't think more than 10 people know my middle name.
I know it, but I think I've forgotten it. Is it Anthony?
No, it is not Anthony. Do I look like an Anthony?
It's not John.
No. It's the question is it a more unique middle name than your middle name? Do you want me to just tell you it?
Oh yeah, it's like Marcellus or something.
No. Kazmer. It's a Polish name named after my grandfather. But I don't think that anybody really knows that. Who do you think name is more unique, Euclid or Kazmer?
I mean, I actually think they're both relatively common outside of America, but um, I mean, probably Casimir.
It's Kazmer, not Casimir. It's not like the fabric. It's Kazmer. Do you know many people's middle names?
I just want a sandwich. No, I mean the only middle names I know are the easy ones. You know, like Nicholas John or Mark Anthony. Like I don't know
Oh, it's got to like flow for you to remember what the middle name is.
what's my wife's middle name even.
Do
Oh,
you
I know.
Every girl that I've ever dated or been in a relationship with, I should actually just say every girl I've been in a relationship with, including my wife, has had the middle name Michelle.
Every girl.
Every single one. It's not a lot, but every single girl that I've been in a relationship with has had the middle name Michelle.
Well, and that name almost ended my wife and I's first date before it even got going. So,
Oh, wait, what? Why? Michelle? Did you call your
because we
wife
were,
the wrong name?
so I was pseudo dating another girl named Michelle when I went on a date with my wife. And while we were sitting at, dinner, I said, "Well, Michelle, it's been really nice to getting to know you." And I tried playing it off that, I was nervous. And for anyone who knows my wife now, Melissa, that she knew exactly what had happened. But tell you what I did, went home and ended things with Michelle because I knew that my Melissa was going to be a keeper.
Yeah, you can't really date people with similar names. There's just way too much of an opportunity for a mishap. I have also in a previous relationship called the new girlfriend by the old girlfriend's name. Didn't go
Yeah.
over didn't go over well. It was like she almost got in a car accident and I yelled the old girlfriend's name on accident.
I always wonder, and I think one of the worst things would be, and this isn't middle name related, but you're laying in bed, say you wake up and your significant other is sleeping and they're just dreaming and they're just like, Nick, I love you, Nick. And you're like, who the fuck is Nick? Like
Oh god.
that would be pretty horrific.
Okay, but do you have, I don't know what they call them, but do you get a lot of those like thoughts where let's say you're going to like you're up on a tall building, you're like, what if I just jumped off of this? I don't
In
remember what they're called those, but they're like, what if I did the worst thing possible for in this situation? Do you ever have those kind of thoughts? Intrusive thoughts, I think is what they're called.
You mean like not when I'm dreaming? You mean like in just in life?
No, just like
Oh,
like what if you did the most inappropriate thing in that situation?
in a dream, right?
Any instance.
Oh, I mean, I've thought about some things. I mean, most of which would probably end in serious harm to myself. But not like I don't mean to say that like suicidal. I just mean like
Right, right.
you're on a roller coaster, and I'm like, what happens if this if this latch comes off and I just go flying or something? Like, yeah, I've had those thoughts. I think everybody does.
The one that always comes to mind to me is like if ever I'm going to the bathroom in a porta potty and I'm like, what if I drop my phone in there? Like, what if I had to reach in there?
I think about that like in public restrooms, just when I'm like going to the toilet or something, and I'm always just like, what happens if like a water pipe bursts and water just starts spraying on me, or what? Yeah, yeah.
I think this is a thing that men do where they run through in their heads like every situation imaginable whenever they're doing something.
I mean, I don't know if it's just a man thing. I think you got to be a thinker to do it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't.
Yeah.
Sometimes you look at certain people and you're just like, yeah, I don't think they're thinking a whole lot right now.
No, I don't think so. But like for me, I live in Seattle, and if I go to park somewhere, I won't park in a parking garage just in case there's an earthquake. I try not to because I'm like, wait, you're going to be trapped in the parking garage. You're not going to be able to get out. You need a car. You got to be able to drive out of here. So I won't, like, I've run through my head what to do in case of many different situations wherever I am.
Yeah, I actually have the same thought, and I blame it on my career being in the news industry, especially grocery stores, movie theaters. I don't mean to laugh, but having an exit strategy is unfortunately it's kind of where we're at. So yeah, that always goes. It's like if I don't know a store or something, I always try to navigate, where the exits are and what happens if the worst case scenario happens, just stuff like that.
Yeah, I always generally try to plan, like have some idea if something happens, like what we're going to do. Like, okay, we're going to go this way. We're going to go that way. Like, this is how we get out of there.
Not that anyone cares. And I guess I say this because I'm curious if other people are like this. But I find myself not being the neighborhood watch guy, but like, if something looks suspicious or if somebody comes in acting a little strange, I'll keep an eye on them, or I'll monitor them. And they could just be a little weird and not literally have any malintent. And here I am just keeping tabs on them. I don't know if that's normal or over obsessive, but I do that sometimes.
I feel like you become territorial. When you become a parent, you become territorial, and you got to like watch your territory.
I will say, speaking of that, I wanted you to make fun of me. So here's something else to make fun of me about. I was outside cutting some branches off of a large tree we have, and I had an axe. And I was feeling very manly about myself.
Okay, all right, good.
Well, my neighbor comes over, who I've talked about on this podcast before, God love him, and he brought me a Sawzall because he said it looked like I was struggling.
Oh, you had another man tell you that he thought you were struggling with an axe?
Well, his exact words were, "You've been out here for a while. You must be tired. I have a Sawzall," but he already had the Sawzall already. It wasn't like, "Hey, I have one too, by the way." But it wasn't like, "Hey, do you have one? Do you need one?" He was just like, "Hey, use my Sawzall." He even brought an extension cord to plug it into a power outlet on the side of my house.
Okay, was he being friendly or did he legitimately realize that you were struggling?
First off, I don't think I was struggling. I was sweating. I was panting, but I mean,
what were you trying to do? Let's get the parameters here and decide. Let's find this out. Okay, so you were trying to do what?
Trying to trim a tree, I guess you could say, because
with an axe.
Well, I didn't know where my God damn it, I didn't know where my Sawzall was, and
so there. All right, so look, I'm gonna just keep a strike. I'm gonna keep a tally. Okay, so that's strike one. Man should know where his tools are. So that's strike one.
My wife had made me angry because she had said, "You need a Sawzall."
Letting a situation get to you. Strike two.
I had a chainsaw, and she told me the branches are too small for a chainsaw. And I was like, I don't think they're that small for a chainsaw. So when we got into a little bit of a spat, I grabbed... God,
Having somebody else tell you how to operate your tools. Strike three.
grabbed an axe, and I said, "I'm gonna go cut this fucking thing down."
Well, wait a minute. Were you gonna try to actually cut down the tree, or were you just gonna try
No.
to like swing the axe up above your head and cut the tree?
Well, that's what I was doing when I
Well,
was.
that's not gonna work.
It did work. I got like 5 good size, limbs down,
There's a difference
and
between something working and doing something enough that it actually starts to work.
I can tell you though, if you've ever done that, the whole tree shook, and shit was just coming down at me. Like it wasn't smart. Um,
How many swings of the axe did it take you to cut through each branch?
oh, I mean, I don't. I mean, I'm gonna say between 20 and 40.
To cut through each branch?
Yeah, I mean they were. It's a pretty thick. I'll have to take a picture and post it somewhere so people can look, including yourself.
I don't. Is it a giant redwood? Is it General Sherman out there, the biggest tree in the world? Because okay, 20 swings for that. If you're talking about cutting through a part of a tree that was too small for a chainsaw and it's taking you 40 things with an axe, dude.
Now, okay, hold on,
No. That's
hold
like
on.
that's 3 strikes right now. You're at 6. That's 3 strikes individually.
That's fine. I don't think anyone cares about this. I just wanted your opinion. It's
Oh
fine.
yeah, dude, that's your bad, right? Because
It's
here's
fine.
okay. To sum up, here's where you're wrong. Number one, you lost your tools, not paying attention to where your tools are. Number two, you weren't using the right tool for the job. Number three, obviously your neighbor had to step in. Like another man had to see what you were doing and say to himself, "Oh no, he's embarrassing all of us the way that he's doing this. He's hurting the entire gender. I've got to step in here to make sure that everybody else in this neighborhood doesn't decide to swear off men just because they look at him and say, wait a minute, that guy is not doing is doing such a poor job. It's reflecting on me." It's like a really terrible car showing up to a car show, and then everybody else is like, no, that car can't be here because it's bringing everybody else down. That kind of sounds like what you were doing with this lawn work.
Sure. I mean, I was actually enjoying it. It was, if you've ever swung an axe, it's very therapeutic.
Very manly, right? It does make you feel like a man. I have an axe in my room, actually.
Do
Literally
you
have
st-
an axe under the bed.
do you still have the katana in your trunk?
I do. I have a ninja sword that I bought while inebriated that I thought that was going to be a good idea, but I didn't want to have it in a house full of an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old, so I put it in the car. So I have a ninja sword in my car.
Wow. Well, anyways,
Could you imagine if
yes.
somebody like there's a road rage situation and somebody's like, "Come on, let's go," and I go to the back of the car and bring out a ninja sword?
No, I actually, I don't want to say that's a fear of mine, but that's one of the reasons why I have like parking lot anxiety is because I don't want to get into, a skirmish with somebody. And next thing I know, they're busting out a fucking
you-
sword.
Could you imagine if you're like, "Hey, buddy, you cut me off," and they turn around, open up their trunk, and bring out a ninja sword?
No, that would be terrifying to me. Because for one, I'm not going to get away from them. They're probably going to run faster than me.
Oh
And
yeah, they're
two,
gonna catch you.
I think that's now. Once again, I feel like I have to put a disclaimer on this. I've never been shot, stabbed, whatever, but I feel like being stabbed or hit by a sword is probably one of the most scary things that could happen.
If I saw somebody coming at me with a sword and they started to swing the sword at me, I think I would actually die before it even made contact. Like just the idea of being hit
Just
by
your
the
heart
sword, like I
stops.
would just die mid-swing.
Sure,
They wouldn't even have to hit me.
I like. What do you do in that? Like, do you lower your head and try to tackle them? Do you try to run? Like, I don't even
Run
know.
away.
I don't even know what you would do. I mean, once again, in my instance, like, do I put my forearm up and let them try to take that off, and then just try to tackle them? Like, I don't
Sweep the
know.
leg. Just sweep the leg.
Like,
Have,
or
but have you ever had a situation that was unfolding and you were like, the first thing I'm doing is getting out of here. I am getting out of here.
no, I'm usually the person that sticks around. I mean, now there has been a couple. So no, yes, the answer is yes. I guess there has been a couple of situations involving other people where I've been like people I don't know, where I'm like, this could get kind of hairy. Like, let's get out of here because I think something bad's gonna happen. But if one of my boys, if my family, if someone's involved, like I'm always that guy. Like, not saying I'm the strongest, the fastest, the biggest, but like I'll go in. I don't care. Like it's what I'm here for.
Oh, I can't think of an example right off the top of my head where I've been like, "Oh, I'm getting out of here."
Like like I'm big enough, like a big enough person that like someone looks at me and unless they're bigger than me, like it's gonna take a couple of shots to like get me down. Like so I feel like people look at me and they're like, do we even want to really mess with this guy? Like
Just a quick reminder that John threw his back out picking up dog poop and
true.
then tore his calf
It's true.
playing slow pitch softball while trying to run off the mound.
That's
So
true.
this physical specimen of a man
No, that's not what I meant.
doesn't
I
seem to be holding up very well.
no.
20 to 40 swings of an axe to chop through one little twig.
Well, but I learned like after the first off, they weren't that little, but they were huge.
Show me with your fingers. I need to see the diameter.
Um, I mean,
3 fingers took you 20 swings to get through?
no. I mean,
That's
it's
not
hard to
good.
say.
That's
I
not
mean,
good, man.
I'm not going to say they were gigantic, but like they were big enough to where I'd have to go on one side and then I'd have to go on the other while I'm swinging it over my head.
Do you feel like you're a man who knows what to do with an axe? Like, do you actually know how to use it?
No, not at all. And I didn't we have like a someone who
Yeah, we
like
had a
an
professional
yeah
tree climber. Yeah, he knew what he was doing. It's
yeah
not gonna
like
take him 20 swings. I can promise you that.
no, but also I do once again I think it's a technique thing. Like I could probably get a trunk down in 20 swings if I knew where to hit and what to do. Like I think a lot of people could.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'm not an expert in that. Back to our poll results, though. I asked people how many. Okay, the question was how many people know your middle name. 35% said 1 to 5 people. 32% said 5 to 10. 16% said 10 to 25, and 16% said 25 plus. So really, there's not that many people who probably know someone's middle name.
I just feel like it's kind of like no one really cares. Like why do you need to know someone's middle name? You just don't need to know it.
Why would you want to know their thoughts, hopes, and dreams? It's about knowing who somebody really is. A
I would
middleman is a
actually
part of somebody, and you
I'm
don't
gonna
know
go
that part of them.
I'm gonna go on a limb here and sound pretty dumb. But I don't even I think if you got rid of everyone's middle name, wouldn't matter. No one would care or miss them.
I mean, there's a lot of people probably named John Shull. Like, think about all the people named like Josh Smith. You got to kind of have some way of demarcating them.
Yeah, I mean there's probably only one Nick VinZant though.
I've never actually seen another one. I've never actually seen another one that had the same name as I did. But anyway, let's move along.
All right, let's give some shout outs here, shall we? Shout outs, outs. Someday I'm gonna get like a good intro to this. It's only been 195 episodes, but let's see. Connor Johnson, Bob Amadon, Anjo Tarkama, Joe Zario, Joseph Ringhand, Naib Shiraz, Johnny Indigo. Don't think that's a real last name, but it's pretty cool nonetheless. Sammy Garcia, Tommy Lopez, Ken Smith, Natalie Villando, and Frank Gill. Congratulations. You get nothing except me screwing up your names this week. So thank you.
What an honor. What an honor.
What what an honor that is. Let's see what's going on in the world. Thought this was crazy and not scary at all. Apparently, there was a new study released. Don't ask me by who. That shows that nearly 40 million people could die from antibiotic-resistant infections from now to 2050. Basically meaning that our bodies are going to become so resistant to antibiotics that our bodies won't be able to fight off, germs and bacteria and things because we won't have a way to fight them. That's scary. That's great to know. Tito Jackson died. R.I.P.
Who's Tito Jackson?
Jesus Christ,
I don't know
Nick.
who Tito Jackson is. That's not like a famous name that I'm supposed to know. Is he the
Yes.
father of? Is he Michael Jackson's father? Like I don't know who Tito Jackson is. I understand that there's a Jackson 5 and that they were very famous. The only one that I know is Michael. I don't know Tito Jackson. It's like that common knowledge that Tito Jackson is. Who is he?
I mean, he's obvious. I mean, where do you want me to start? One of the Jackson 5. He's obviously. Let's see. Okay, let me see if I can do this. So it's Michael, Jermaine.
Oh, Janet. I know Janet Jackson. Don't go like look. I'm not
Okay,
going all the way down there to get to Tito Jackson.
okay.
Who
You
cares about
realize
Tito Jackson? I'm sorry. I'm sure he's a great something. I'm sure a lot of people like the guy, but
but you do know that that Tito Jackson or Janet Jackson was not one of the Jackson 5, though, correct?
right. But she is.
Okay.
Is she Michael Jackson's younger or older sister? It's got to be his younger sister.
Yes, I believe is the younger sister. You're the only person that I've talked to, and I've talked to at least 10 people about
Have
Tito
you talked
Jackson.
to anybody under the age of 50?
2 people who at least knew who he was and what he was involved in.
Do you think they really knew who he was, or do you think that they were just kind of like, "Oh, okay, John"?
I mean,
Oh, Tito Jackson. Oh yeah. Oh, no.
I just
Big loss.
now don't get me wrong, because I'm gonna get butchered for this comment. I'm gonna say it anyways. I think Michael Jackson was overrated.
I mean, why?
In
He was
saying
like
that,
he made Thriller. Have you seen Thriller? You can't say overrated and then say that he had Thriller. He was one of the most famous people in the world to a level of which I don't know if people are even famous like that anymore.
I think entertainer wise, yes, one of the most famous one of the most famous entertainers ever. But in terms of like actual musicianship, not sure. And that goes along with the Jackson 5 and what they were able to do when they broke in, which is why somebody like Tito Jackson to me deserves more than a who is Tito Jackson? I mean, come on, man. Come on.
Oh, 'cause rest in peace. Gonna miss you, Tito. World will never be the same without you.
Tito Jackson and the last person we talked about last week dying, which was James Earl Jones, on the same wavelength.
No,
Not-
they are not.
Not Tito's not up to James Earl Jones's pedestal, but they're at least in the same realm, I feel.
No, not at
Okay.
all.
Okay.
If James Earl Jones is a level 1, Tito Jackson is probably like a 4 or a 5.
That's fair. I mean,
He's
I
like
would
the
say that.
4th or 5th famous. He's not more famous than Michael. He's not more famous than Janet. He's not more famous than Jermaine. I think it was the father. He's not more famous than Randy Jackson. Like, he's one of the least famous Jackson. I'm sorry, but, like, look, this has
Wait.
nothing. If you're a huge Tito Jackson fan, that's fine.
Wait.
But, like, John is making the argument that Tito Jackson is the same as Michael Jackson and James
No.
Earl Jones. Like,
No,
no,
that's
it's
not true. That's not true. If anyone goes back a minute, if you
Prisoner
didn't,
of the moment.
all I said was that he's at least in the same arena as James Earl Jones. I think he deserves to have a little more than just a who's Tito Jackson. And Randy Jackson? Did you say Randy Jackson? Like
Randy Jackson.
the American Idol guy?
No, see, this is what I'm talking about. Randy Jackson is one of the Jackson 5. You don't even know who it is. Right?
Hold on.
He's exactly the same famous as Tito Jackson. When I look up on Google Tito Jackson, the people also search for thing, Tito Jackson doesn't even make it, man.
Okay.
Tito Jackson's not even on there. TJ
Randy,
Jackson,
I knew
John Jackson.
I know the Jackson 5. I don't know why I even looked up Randy Jackson. He's not related to the Jacksons.
There's a different Randy Jackson.
Never mind. Let's just move on because you're
Randy Jackson was in the Jackson 5.
he was, but he's not like when you talk about the Jackson 5, they originally it was Jackie, Tito, Jermaine, Marlon, and Michael.
We have a couple people chiming in the chat. I think MJ, Michael Jackson, was underrated.
was
Tito
underrated.
Tito Jackson is a mid-90s joke famous, which I would agree with. I would actually agree with that. That he's famous more as the punchline of a joke than he is for anything else.
I mean, I also kind of love whoever this is. Can I? Top feed Coco. I'm 2/3 listening to you guys, and the other third listening to my drunk neighbor lady yelling at people on a loud public backyard phone call.
Oh,
Everyone,
I do love honestly listening to people's conversations. One of my favorite things is when somebody has their Bluetooth connected to their phone.
oh,
Their
it's so good.
Bluetooth connected to their car, and you can clearly hear them having a conversation like across the street. Like, I'm listening to you talking to your mom, man. I love listening to people's conversations. I'm fascinated by it.
I'm actually kind of annoyed, like when someone pulls up next to you, and they have that shit blowing through their speakers, and it's just somebody rambling about nothing. It's like I don't want to hear that.
Oh, but that's a chance to peek into somebody's life when they don't know you're doing it.
I'm also the same guy that got pulled over last week who thought I was getting out of it, who totally got punked by the cop. So thank you.
You're not getting out of that. What were you doing?
It's a long story, but I will say he walked.
Long story. What happened?
I was told I did a rolling stop through a stop sign because apparently that's what people care about nowadays.
Don't blame them. Don't blame somebody else. Like, oh, how dare you enforce the law?
It's okay. There's so much more to the story. I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna give you the highlights. One, the cop was sitting in front of one of my good friends' house.
Okay.
Yes, I did a mediocre rolling stop. I get pulled over.
So you did a rolling stop after you saw the cop sitting there, and you still did a rolling stop.
Kind of, yes.
This is what questions your whole thought process, right? Like the whole thought process is automatically thrown into question in the fact that you see a cop sitting there and you do a rolling stop. I
didn't see him. I looked to the left as I was going and I saw him.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. I wouldn't just blatantly disobey a police officer. I'm not bravado. So I get pulled over. My birthday was a couple of weeks ago. I haven't renewed my tag, my license plate, so he writes me up for that, which is another $180.
Oh man, you pissed him off though.
Well, so he comes back right after he runs me, whatever, and he's like, "So I'm gonna cut you a break today," and I'm like, "Yes, it's Wednesday. It's already been a long week," and he's like, "I'm not gonna give you any points, but you're gonna have to pay the fines." So I look at him and
break though.
No, I would rather have the points. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's all good. He was right. But what makes it even worse is the guy who was sitting in front of his house. The cop was sitting in front of my buddy's house. I text my buddy and he's like, "You're such an idiot." And he's like, sends me a picture of my car being pulled over.
Oh, that's amazing.
And then a few hours later, he sends me another text and he's like, "Just so you know, that cop's gotten like 12 people all doing the same thing."
He was an enforcement detail.
He was, and he told me that. And once again, I have all the love and respect for police officers. I just wish that I didn't get pulled over. But whoever gets pulled over that wants to, right? Like no one wants to.
No, I don't think most people generally want to get pulled over. I try to avoid breaking the law when I can. And if I do break the law, I try to avoid doing it right in front of police officers.
What else here? Wanted to ask you, what is the best, in your opinion, the best era of clothing? Like decade wise. So, and obviously there's plenty of decades that you and I have been a part of, but I broke it down into 3. The 70s, the 90s, or now? Which decade? Really?
Yeah, 100%. I would 100% go with now is the best time of clothing because I can wear pants to work that look exactly like dress pants, but are actually like workout pants. And it's amazing. I can wear stuff to work that is essentially like it looks like it's dress clothing, but it's basically like gym clothes. So now, because of the comfort and because of the ease of everything.
So once again, this has a story. I'm going to a wedding on Saturday, and it is 70s themed.
Oh, let me go ahead and tell you how long that wedding's going to last. If you're doing any kind of themed wedding, the over-under on your relationship is 5 years.
I, you know what? I'm not going to comment on that. I wish them the best, but
I'll
I can
say
tell.
it. If you're having a themed wedding, that relationship ain't lasting more than 5 years.
No,
because
I
you're
don't.
because you're getting married around a shared interest at that time of your life, and you change as a person as you get older, and so that theme that you all kind of agreed upon and coalesced around may no longer apply as you get older. You might not be that same person, and that's why I don't think that the theme things work for that kind of stuff.
Good use of the word coalesce, by the way.
I did.
Well done.
I also used another word. I think I used divergent.
Oh,
Aggregate. I've used the word aggregate today. Coalesced.
no, no one really believes it though, so it's fine. Or believes you saying it. That's about it. That's all I had this week. Good conversation.
Okay, all right. So our top five is top five grades. So we're talking about like kindergarten, third grade, fifth grade, those kind of things. What's your number five?
So I feel like this may be too high on the list, but I also don't know where to put it because it's probably the easiest grade, and that's kindergarten. So that's my number five.
You have kindergarten is number five?
I do just because it's like it's a lot of people. It's their for a lot of people, a lot of kids. It's their introduction to school. It's fun. You really don't have any real responsibility, but like you're not doing a whole lot. You're just it's kind of like just a glorified daycare to a certain degree.
My number five is second grade. I think
Okay.
second grade is great because you're kind of figuring things out. You're kind of establishing yourself a little bit, but you don't really have any real responsibilities. Like nobody's really expecting anything from you. You're in second grade, but also you're in second grade. You can kind of venturing on your own a little bit with no real repercussions for mistakes.
My number four is the ninth grade.
Oh, freshman year?
Yeah, because you're there, you've made it, you're in the show, but like you're just in the show, and it's probably going to be a real rough year, even if you're one of the cool kids, while you try to adapt to everything. But it's one of those grades, or maybe the only grade like that, which is the ninth grade, where like this is it. Like after you go, you're in the same building for 4 years. I guess some high schools are 10th grade, but I'm going 9 through 12th. Like this is it. Once you hit the 12th grade, you're done, man. Life is going to hit you.
I would actually say that I think being a freshman year is one of the worst. I think that's one
I
of the
mean,
most awkward times of your life.
no, I don't disagree with that. I think it's awkward. But I also think it's exciting. I think high school provides a lot more opportunities than say, junior high or whatnot. So yeah, it's awkward, it's scary, but it's also exciting. Like you're on your way to being a full fledged teenager.
My number four is middle school. I feel like sixth, seventh, and eighth grade are all kind of the same.
Okay,
There's
all
not
right.
much separation, I don't think, there. It's kind of all just waiting to go to high school. You're not in elementary school. To me, like sixth, seventh, and eighth grade all kind of fall into the same realm.
Okay, we'll come back to that. My number three is the 12th grade
That's my number three, is also senior in high school.
because I think a lot of seniors, especially nowadays, and I can't speak for them because obviously I'm not a senior of today's times, but regardless, I just feel like there's so much nerves and angst and you don't know what's gonna happen, and you're saying goodbye to your friends, and if you go away to college, and it's like a very worrisome grade, but also it's like what you've been building 12 years towards.
I wonder how much it's different for people who are seniors in high school now. Because when we were, at least when I was a senior in high school, you were kind of an adult as a senior in high school. It wasn't, I don't think that you're really an adult now as a senior in high school. Like people don't look at you the same way. But as a senior in high school when I was, you were an adult and you were kind of treated like an adult. You got responsibilities. You had, like you were treated much more as an adult as a senior in high school when I was one.
Yeah, I think I mean I just think that has to go with the way it is now, with the way that you know we treat each other. But when I was a senior, it was like kind of half and half. You still had the kids that were very immature, then you had the other kids that like already had jobs that
Yeah.
were already smoking and had beards. You know what I mean?
I would not be surprised if someone made an argument that a senior in high school now is equivalent to a college senior, or a senior in high school in our day is now what a college senior is today. Viewed in the same way, that you're
I
kind
think
of
that,
starting your life a little bit.
yeah, that's fair. I mean, I could be completely wrong, but I'll agree with you. What's your number? Oh yeah, you said your number three. That was a 12th grade, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So my number two, and this might be a cop out, but it's 11th grade.
Oh, I actually really thought about putting a junior in high school too. That would
Yeah,
probably be my best year, honestly.
yeah, I feel like that is most people's best year is the junior year because you're an upperclassman, but you don't have all the worries of being a senior yet. For a lot of people who go to traditional high schools, like that's when you play varsity sports for the first time as a junior, or like if you're in plays and stuff, like that's your first big performance. So yeah, junior's pretty important year.
Okay. Yeah, I forgot about. I didn't know about the play angle. Didn't think about that.
You're looking at Buffalo Bill here, so be careful.
Right, like it doesn't. And look, I'm not trying to make any light of anybody who's in theater or anything like that. I'm making fun of John being in theater. Like it's not other people doing theater or drama. It's you specifically
That's
doing
fair.
theater or drama. My
I
number,
get it.
my number two is a junior in college. I
Okay.
think that's a great year because you're probably turning 21. You've got a lot of responsibility. You're starting to kind of get things together, but you don't have the full thing yet. Like you can still, I think that is like peak fun of your life in terms of just going out and enjoying things. Is a junior in college.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any of the college years on here because I just went grades instead of like 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th. But
Mm.
I don't disagree with you.
What's your number one?
The sixth grade.
Sixth grade?
Yeah,
Why?
because you're still a kid. You know what I mean? Like that is the year. I feel like once you get into middle school, like that's when that's when most kids start hitting puberty. Your voice changes, you start growing things, you start being really inquisitive. Like you're still a kid in the 6th grade and you're innocent and you're dumb and everything's still awesome. Like it's just and then once you get into middle school and high school, the gloves are off.
Would you agree with this statement? Do you think that kids today are expected to be older when they're younger and younger when they're older? Like we put more responsibility on kids when they're younger and have started to take off responsibility on kids than when they are older. So like what we would expect from a second grader is more, but we expect less from an 18-year-old.
I don't think it lasts from older. I do think by far, with you and I having younger children, that there's so much more expected of them. And I don't mean to sound like a curmudgeon old man, but like the fact that like my kids bring home an iPad every night. I mean, I feel like social media and YouTube and things like that's only led to them like getting older faster. And I know that may not make sense if you don't have children, but if you do, makes complete sense.
That's what I mean. I feel like they get older. I feel like kids now get older faster, and we expect them to be older at a younger age. But then as they get older, we expect them less. So we expect them to be older when they're younger and younger when they're older.
But
Maybe.
I don't know if I would agree with younger when they're older. I feel like they're more withdrawn as they get older because of social media, the TV things. Like
Hmm. My number one is kindergarten. I think kindergarten is the best year. I just remember getting snacks and taking naps.
I mean, yes, it is. I mean, that's why it's on both of our top five lists.
Yeah, I think it's number one. Kindergarten is like, well, all I gotta do is hang out with these other kids. Like, I just hang out with my friends, get food, and take naps. Like,
That's
play games. Like, I can do that. I'm not learning anything.
that's why I put it on there.
Do you have anything in your honorable mention?
I mean, not. I mean, I have the first grade, but that's really
It's
it.
kind of
I
like
mean,
kindergarten.
I
Yeah.
also well, I did scribble out the 8th grade, but because that's like you're going into high school. Then you know what I mean. Like it's But
See, I transitioned schools when I went into high school. So freshman year for me was not like a great experience. Because I was going to a new school.
yeah, well, that's a whole nother level. That could almost be a whole nother top five. Like, what grades would be the worst grades to transition to a new school to?
Oh,
Like,
freshman year, I would think. I would
yeah,
say
that's
freshman year of high school would be number one.
there's a whole movie about that now. Inside Out 2 or whatever it's called. Inside Out, that franchise.
Oh yeah, I don't watch that stuff. I'm an adult. I watch intelligent programming like documentaries.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you do.
I don't. I'm gonna go watch. I'm gonna go watch anime. I'm gonna go watch One Piece with my son right now.
Good. I'm gonna go watch Happy Days.
Maybe learn how to use an axe. Bye.